Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, One Rental at a Time. And if you haven't figured it out already, what makes One Rental at a Time YouTube channel different is we bring on experts. I stay in my lane. I don't talk about what I don't know, but I bring on experts. And Monday is no different. We bring with us Rylas Dana, who is an estate attorney, and he brings us topics that I have no experience in and frankly never talk about. So how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Always good to be here chatting with you.
And I want to thank you, Rylas. It's greatly appreciated. I know your time is very valuable. For you to give us this half hour every Monday is a great treat. So from me to you, thank you.
Yeah, so I'm a fan foremost. I'm a consumer of the content. I love the other guests on the show, so I love taking it in. It's a nice community. It kind of feels like you're friends, right? You can, while you're driving or doing whatever around the house, see what you guys are talking about.
That's awesome, man. Well, hey, one of the things I want to talk about today is a fiduciary. Lots of kind of, new real estate investors, they might hear that term. Worse yet, they might think they know what it is. But with you, I thought we would just step back. What is a fiduciary? What are their duties? And then most importantly, how can we write an offer that makes it easy for a fiduciary to say yes? So I think there are 3 steps to do this. But again, Rylas, let's start at step 1. What the heck is a fiduciary?
What is a fiduciary? So I think a basic definition is a fiduciary is someone managing money or assets for the benefit of another.
Oh, so let's set that up. So for example, again, this is one that just jumped to my head. Let's say your family, mom and dad, unfortunately pass on. There are kids, maybe they're under 18, maybe they're under 25, wherever that line is. They may nominate someone, a fiduciary, to say, hey, you make the money decisions for Sally and Mary and Bob, the kids. Is that fair?
Yes. Yeah. So okay. whether there's a trust, right, set in place, the person that's serving as trustee has that fiduciary duty.
Okay.
Or if there's no trust and they have to go through probate, the personal representative that gets appointed for the estate also has a fiduciary duty.
Okay. So again, a fiduciary, I did not know that. So a fiduciary is not only something that would be, I don't know if the right word is nominated or selected via a trust, but it also is an outcome of probate. I did not know that last piece.
Yeah. So with a trust, you already have it set up who's going to step in that role as a trustee.
Okay.
And in a will, it just has to go through court. But either way, they're a fiduciary. Either way, they're managing money for the benefit of others. So let's define that next word, fiduciary duty. Please. So it's the duty that you owe to the beneficiaries, to others, when you're managing money or assets for them. So okay. If you break it down, it's all basic stuff, right? No self-dealing, right? I mean, you can't have any personal benefits. Okay. And I describe it as just a higher level of standard. Like you can't invest in lottery tickets. Right.
Ah, okay. All right. I like it. I like these examples.
Because when you're managing money for the benefit of others, there's what they call the prudent investor rule. You have to act as a prudent investor.
Okay.
So it's kind of a tough thing because it's kind of, you got to safeguard the money and protect things, but there could also be a duty to invest things and to have it grow depending on how long you're holding.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't, huh?
Exactly. Wow.
Don't name me as anybody's fiduciary. I don't want that responsibility.
Yeah, so that's why people charge for that.
Right?
That's in that role.
That's where I was going next. Is it a paid? It has to be. That's okay. So it can be a paid role.
Yeah, so they're entitled to reasonable compensation.
Okay.
And if you're naming a bank or a company, they're definitely going to charge, right? That's their whole business. Now, if you're naming your brother-in-law or even one of your kids, they're also entitled to charge.
Are there any rules of thumb? And again, we didn't practice this ahead of time. Are there any rules of thumb for someone who's, maybe developing a trust and they're having that, who do I nominate? or who do I select, or whatever the right word is. Is there any kind of rules of thumbs you would give them to think about? Do you say older or younger than you, in the family, not in the family? Do you have
So
any rules or
yeah,
best
I
practice?
do. I talk about that every day.
Okay,
Just
cool.
about.
Awesome.
So think in terms of the best person right now is what I tell people.
Okay.
Instead of trying to think, who's going to outlive who, think in
Ah,
terms of the best person right now. If something happens to you today, who's the best person to step in and manage and make financial decisions for your kids or for yourself or for whoever your beneficiaries are.
okay. Okay.
So
I like that.
a lot of times people get hung up on, yeah, this person's good. Maybe they want to name their parents, but they're worried about their age.
Right.
You know, I
Yeah.
say if they're the best choice right now, that's your answer.
Yeah, they're the best choice. Yeah, I like that.
And then I recommend that you review your estate plan every 5 years.
That's reasonable.
So just to make sure that you always have the best person right now, at least a
Yeah.
couple choices.
Right. And then how many, again, I think I remember going through this with mine. How many, I don't know, I guess they're called best choices to use do you go 3 deep and then you just evaluate it every 5 years?
I should recommend at least 2.
At least 2. Okay.
So usually my meetings when I'm designing a plan, after 2, I'm like, I'm good with 2, but if you want to give me a third, I'll put
Okay.
it. But
Yeah,
if no one's coming to mind, then that's fine. We'll just leave it at 2.
yeah, I think I went 3 deep on mine because it just made sense. It was a logical progression. So yeah, I could see the first 2 and then yeah, I got it. Okay, that makes sense. Now let's make some money. How do I write a fiduciary friendly offer?
Okay, so I guess the reason this topic came up is I had an event a couple weeks ago where I invited attorneys and where I invited estate planning attorneys. I also invited one of my fiduciary friends. So this guy, he owns a company. I'll give him a shout out in Arizona, East Valley Fiduciary Services. And they're named in my plan. So if I drop dead, they're managing things for my kids in my trust.
So they're, to use the earlier example, they're the first choice.
Yep.
Okay, got it.
They're my first choice because I didn't want to name a family member or anyone like that for various reasons.
And then let's just play this out. So again, you'll review your plan every 5 years. Eventually, I guess in 10 years, one of your kids will be 18. Would you, or over 18? Would you see yourself at that point maybe making them a second choice? Because right now, all 3 of your children are under 18, as I remember.
Yeah. So right now, my oldest is 14.
Okay.
So even in 10 years, and I'll go 10 years when he's at 24, probably not.
Okay.
So probably not. So 18, you can legally, but should you is the question.
Yeah, that's a lot of responsibilities for an 18-year-old.
Yeah. So my plan, I have it held back for them for a little while.
Sure.
So
very reasonable.
The way my plan is, it's designed where they each receive what I call a dynasty trust.
Yep.
And they get to be their own trustee once they reach 35.
Oh, 35. I was going to think you were going to say 25.
No.
Riley's going deep. 35.
Yeah, I know myself. And it's kind of funny because I'm 40 now, and I've been doing this for over 10 years. So I remember designing plans for people and telling them, 35 was the magic age, even when I was younger than that.
That's funny. So. That's awesome. And folks, if you want to know what a dynasty trust is, Rylas has an entire playlist on my channel. More importantly, Rylas has his own YouTube channel that goes much, much deeper on this. That is why he is my Monday expert. Rylas, what is that page or channel?
Yeah, so my YouTube channel where I have the most videos is Mott Legal. You can go to Mott Legal on YouTube. That's MAAT. So Mott is the Egyptian goddess of law and order. So it's kind of like a generic trade name.
I like it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So there's a fiduciary in attendance.
Yep.
And so we're kind of back on topic. And my topic for that event was for attorneys, how they can work with virtual assistants, virtual paralegals, and other sources of income. So the third part, the other sources of income, I recommend as attorneys, there's a lot of value from the real estate investors where you guys make me look good, right? And really to the point where I use them to help me get probate clients. So whether it's sometimes I get leads from investors,
Mhm.
and they find that they want to buy a property, but the person on title has passed away. So they bring me the person and I do the legal work,
Mhm.
and then they close their real estate transaction.
Makes
So
sense.
it's a great win-win. But so my fiduciary friend in attendance, so I was talking about, I call it Pace's fiduciary friendly offer after our friend Pace Morby. So I saw him do this, Pace, it takes me a few steps to see what he's doing a lot, but I saw that he was doing this, and I kind of realized that I was like, wow, that is that works
Genius.
really great. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's genius. And his students, his sub two students, can talk to more about the details on the other end. But from my perspective, what he does is he'll meet with my clients or prospective clients and give them a valuation of the house, or at least make what his cash offer is.
Sure.
Because
Okay.
as the attorney, I like having people start there, right? What someone's willing to pay you cash, I'll give more to that than what some realtor says that you could sell it for.
Exactly. Yeah.
Especially if I don't know who the realtor is. There's always some
Yeah.
neighbor or some family member.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense. So yeah, there's a street value or a Zillow value or whatever you want to call it, somebody's opinion. Maybe it has artificial intelligence or not, but it's just a number. When you get an offer that says, I will pay you X cash today, that is an offer in hand. So that makes perfect sense.
yeah, and that's real.
Mhm.
And then what Pace will do is he would say, so here's my offer, I'll buy it for this. And then he includes, I believe they call it an escalation clause, where
Okay.
he's willing to beat the highest offer by $1,000. And his deposit is 10,000 earnest money.
Sure. EMD. Yep.
So that way we have a value established,
Mhm.
and then we can take it other places. So the fiduciary, when you're managing money for others, you got to make sure it's a fair transaction and
Got
you're
it.
acting in the best interest of everyone.
Oh, I like that. So now I'm catching up. See, I'm a little slow. So basically, Pace comes in first. He gives a number. Let's call it 200. He puts an escalation of this or that up $1,000 more. Probably caps it somewhere, I would guess. Maybe not. And that way allows you to kind of quote unquote shop the deal. He's actually encouraging shopping the deal.
Yeah, so that helps me when I have my attorney, my fiduciary hat on. So usually I'm representing the personal representative.
Correct.
Usually I'm the attorney for the fiduciary.
Mhm.
So the investor, they want to get the lowest price, obviously.
Sure.
But we have to get the most for the estate or for the trust.
Yeah, it's part of your duty. Back to point two. Okay.
Yeah. So to play both of those things, we'll shop at the other places and we'll see what other offers come in.
Yeah. Okay. And that could be another, that's in this market, it's relatively fast, 3, 5, 10 days, something like that. Makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm in Phoenix. It's a hot market. So there's always, just like I have my network and my friends, usually everyone else does too,
Sure.
right? They want to have, their friend make an offer as well.
Mhm.
So really two things can happen. One is another offer that comes in and Pace, or the first one that made it, they said, no, I don't want to match that. That's a
Right.
good deal. Take that.
Take it. Yeah. That's
So,
more than I would pay. Yep. Makes
yeah.
sense.
So that's good for me, right?
Yeah.
As the fiduciary or representing them, great. We're getting now we know that we're getting a deal better than this, right? So we've
You've
established
got
value,
evidence. Yep.
and we're getting better than that.
Okay.
Or the other thing happens is Pace will come back and say, I'll beat that. I'll still pay. I'll pay $1,000 more than that. And usually the other offers, they're not willing to put 10,000 down.
Yeah.
Usually it's 2,000 or 5,000.
Right.
So then I go, I go to the client and say, all right, here's our choices. We have, this is the highest offer with the most money down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's someone I trust. I know that they're actually going to close.
They performed before. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause that's still kind of the risk, right? If it goes further,
Yeah.
if someone,
Lack of performance is no deal. Just because it's a higher number, it doesn't mean anything. Yeah.
Yeah. I've also had things where they say, oh, we're taking this higher number. And then they call me back later.
All the time.
Later and say, oh, wait, that fell through. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Oh my God. You mean somebody offered too much and didn't perform? I've never heard of that, Riley.
Yeah.
Never happened.
Shocker, huh?
Shocker. That is awesome. All right.
So the fiduciary that was in attendance, he was hearing that kind of opened his eyes, because he's used to just working with realtors. because
of
he's got to
course.
report to the court. So everything that he does, he's got to report to the court.
Right.
How did you get the highest number?
Which to me means slow.
Slow. And here's the problem. It doesn't, the MLS doesn't work for all types of properties.
No.
If there's a property that needs work, those usually sit on the MLS longer.
Yeah, and they age out and they become yeah, exactly. And then you probably have the reverse problem, right? A real estate agent told it was 250. You told the court it was 250. It's been on the market 45 days, no offers. Then you got to sell it for 215. And then you got to explain to the court why 215 is the new 250. I'm sure that's no fun.
Yeah. So now in California probates, the court's involved most of the way through. So Arizona probate, there's less court oversight, but you always have that fiduciary duty.
Got it.
Where it's got to be the best for everyone.
That's
So,
awesome.
So I would say the lesson to learn is just be aware of that fiduciary duty. So whenever someone is representing an estate or a trust, if you help them fulfill their fiduciary duty, that's kind of that's really all they need to do the deal.
Yeah, because they want to be done, right? They want to do their duty. They want to be done. They want to move on. Again, I like the idea of I think more and more fiduciaries should be reaching out to cash buyers instead of going the agent route, unless it's a pristine, property in the best area that's ready to go. There's at least in my experience, and maybe it's only because I look for them, but a lot of estate properties, they need some love, right? The former occupant probably couldn't really handle it the last 5 or 10 years. And it just it's not that they're bad. It's just needs some love, and they don't look good on the MLS. The pictures of an old house don't look good on the MLS.
Yeah. And the cash buyers, they don't want to pay commissions and, or, their numbers got to work. Right.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
And then it just ends up going less to the family if they're also paying commissions.
6% or 5% or whatever it is in that local market. Yeah. I'm going to offer this number. If you want to cut out 5% for an agent, go nuts. But I can go direct. That makes, again, most of the family, probably fiduciary duty to keep that extra 5% if you can.
Yeah. So that's why I like starting there.
Yeah, I agree. That's awesome.
Before you get a realtor, start with the wholesale offers, get an idea of what that is. And I tell people, if you're comfortable with that, then great, you're done.
Yeah.
Or otherwise, if it's the property is in good shape and you want to list it and you have the time, then we can list it with an agent.
That is awesome. This is great. I love that. This has been a great, wonderful topic. Again, you can figure out what a fiduciary is, a fiduciary duty, and how to write offers. Again, leveraging our friend Pace Morby as model to get the win. So Rylas, any closing thoughts on this topic?
No, thanks for having me. I enjoy the channel, enjoying being a part of it. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. And just so you know, because you are one of my experts, a subscriber of the channel has bought 10 book packages of mine, and they are giving each expert, which you are included, the ability to give away one package to somebody in your network. So think about somebody in your personal network, Rylas, who you think would benefit from one rental at a time and 15 conversations with millionaires, and I will send that out. So you have the ability to select someone, just need their address and name. They will get autographed copies of their book from one rental at a time. So let me know.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Of course. Thanks, Rylas.
Thanks.